90. Heating for the future. Think heating, think Grant. Visit grant.ie.
Gene Curran's Private Collection.
And you're welcome back. And just before the break there, we had hot chocolate, and no doubt about it. And indeed, I was reading that studies have proven that when you eat chocolate, our brain releases chemicals such as endorphins and serotonin, which are known to be associated with happiness. And I can guarantee you that if you visit the Green On to see the LMS production of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you'll be smiling from ear to ear. I'm talking it for weeks and weeks to come. And joining me in the studio now, I have the Assistant Director and Mr. Salt from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and that is Donal Kavanagh, and of course our own news broadcaster as well. Donal, how are you?
Thanks, Tina. I really love coming on this programme. Actually, it's always great crack on a Sunday night here with you.
Well, indeed, I know you've done the book club several times with me, and it's lovely to talk to you out of a sort of a work situation. So rehearsals are going really well, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory on the 4th of March. And you were telling me today at rehearsals about the connection with the Glebe Gallery. There is
a lovely connection actually between Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and the Glebe Gallery, and then onto the theatre. As you know, the Glebe Gallery was the Glebe House and Gardens would have been owned by Derek Hill, the artist. And then he bequeathed it to the state after his death, which happened sadly some years ago. Derek Hill was a huge supporter of An Grianán Theatre and was an early investor in the idea of a theatre in Letterkenny, so much so that upstairs his portrait actually hangs as a tribute to the amount he contributed both financially and in terms of support in lobbying for a theatre in Letterkenny. So Derek Hill has, a really close association with An Grianán Theatre, which remains indebted to and grateful to him and to his memory. Derek Hill was a friend of Roald Dahl. And Roald Dahl had a practice of giving signed first edition copies of his books to friends. Now I've been associated with the Glebe for a while. The ukulele orchestra has done gigs out there. I've done a few things, and Jean and Adrian would be friends, and they're wonderful people to work with. And last year, Jean asked me would I come out and do a little thing. They were opening their new outdoor classroom in the Glebe, which is just a wonderful little development. And the then Minister of State, who now actually is Minister for Arts, Patrick O'Donovan, was opening it. And as is the case of lots of things that happen in the Glebe, Garton National School is just down the road. So they had all the children from Garton National School was up to sit in this new outdoor classroom that was being opened. And Jean asked me would I do a reading at the little ceremony to open it. And she said, we've got something special. And she handed me a signed first copy of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl, signed to Derek with love from Roald, and it was 1964. First edition copy when the book came out in 1964. Now, first off, 1964 is the year I was born, so it's a year I have an affinity to anyway. I was leafing through the book to decide which chapter to read, and the chapter I read was, and I read it to the kids in Garton National School, the chapter I read was Veruca Salt going into the nut room and interacting with the squirrels and where that went. Not knowing, at that point we didn't have rights to the show, not knowing that a little over 12 months later we would be doing that as a musical, and I would actually be playing a character that was referenced in the chapter I was reading. So there is in the Glebe Gallery a first edition copy of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which is signed by Roald Dahl and dedicated to Derek Hill. And I've been speaking with Jean and Adrian, and the hope is now that over the course of the show from the 4th of March on, the book is going to be on display in the theatre. So when people come into the theatre, they can actually see a signed first edition copy by the author of the original book.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And you were talking about you playing Mr. Salt and Veruca, and I'm so happy to be back in the show again after a long absence.
You are.
But I was just overwhelmed by the talent of all the younger ones there. Now, of course, the talent of the veterans as well.
Yeah.
And Veruca and her dancing and just how she plays, it's fabulous.
Well, I was first on a stage. Amy Galvin, who plays my daughter Veruca. I was first on a stage with Amy. I would have done a few shows with Zara Holmes out in Castle Finn. And we did a show in 2019. It was an adaptation of Aladdin. And Amy cannot have been any more than 12. And she was stunning in that. So, I mean, you know, I was first on a stage with Amy when she was in and around about 12 at that point when we did Aladdin, and she was stunning then. And, you know, all of, you know, as you know, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you need, there's two basic ingredients, if you'll pardon the slight pun. For Charlie and the Chocolate Factory to work, you've got two things that you absolutely need. You need a brilliant Willy Wonka. Who owns the factory, obviously. And you've got to have a great Willy Wonka, because if you say, to most people, you say Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, as was the title of the 1971 film, or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, immediately a picture of the purple-clothed, hat-wearing chocolatier is going to come into their heads. I would stab a guess and say for about 70% of people, it's going to be a picture of Gene Wilder immediately. You mentioned the book, you mentioned the film. It's Gene Wilder crops into people's heads. For slightly younger people, it'll be a picture of Johnny Depp. And for perhaps more and more now, for even younger people, it'll be Timothy Chalamet, because of the more recent sort of Wonka, which is the origin story. Now, this has nothing to do with the origin story. This is very faithful. It's most faithful to the book. And it's very faithful. If you've seen the 1971 film, there won't be too many surprises, because what happens in the film pretty much happens in the show as well. So you need a great Willy, but you also need 5 amazing children, because you've got 5 golden ticket winners. You've got Charlie himself, obviously, and then you've got Veruca Salt, you've got Mike TV, you've got Augustus Gloop, and you've got Violet Beauregard. And they're international, and each has their own little quirk, and each has their own foible, and each has their own, shall we say, irritation. And you need really, really great people to portray them, because if you don't, it's going to fall. And we have an amazing squad of kids. We have Oisin McLaughlin playing Charlie, and Matthew Barron is the understudy who's going to play Charlie for 2 days. Absolutely wonderful. We have Augustus Gloop is Ethan Barron, who he was Pugsley in the Addams Family last year. We've got Ariel playing Violet, and Layla is going to do, you know, has been standing in a little. Layla stood in today as well. Amazing talent. We've got Mike TV, Joshua Concannon. He was actually on the Late Late Toy Show. He was in one of the big sort of group numbers on the Late Late Toy Show, chosen from, you know, however many thousands of applicants. He was chosen because of his talent. And as I said, obviously we have Amy as Violet as well, and not Violet, Amy as Veruca. You know, and they're all wonderful, and they're all such great kids. And what's wonderful is they don't, you know, just go over and sit in the corner and go, we're the young people and we're going to stay by ourselves. They mingle and we chat and we have the crack. And we have a brilliant Willy as well in Patrick, who's been on the show with Maria, on with Greg last week. So, you know, we have a great Willy, and we have the foundation. Our 5 golden ticket winners are wonderful. And I think once you have those 2 in place, you can build a show around that. And now you've got the old timers, you've got people like myself, you've got people like Nicola, you know, that are in. And as you intimated, it's absolutely wonderful that after, was it a 12-year absence?
12,
we get Jean back.
12 years, yeah. It doesn't seem like that at all. And as I said, it is great to be back and be part of this. It's going to be a wonderful show. And the tickets are really, they're nearly as scarce as the Willy Wonka's golden tickets. It is. I mean,
thankfully, it's become more and more a feature that, the Saturday matinee was sold out before November. Which happened with Adams as well. At the moment, Saturday night is gone, Saturday afternoon is gone, Friday night is gone. Thursday is very close to selling out at this point. There's some tickets left for Tuesday and Wednesday. But hopefully I would say we're going to be looking pretty much at almost a complete sellout by next weekend, which is always a nice way to be, because it's always good to go into a show knowing that you've got full houses, because the work the cast puts in, and especially, as I say, for the work Patrick's put in and the work all those kids have put in, they deserve full houses. Mm-hmm. They deserve to have, the recognition, that is coming to them, because they've just done amazing work, and that's going to be all on display on that stage. But what I want to do now, Jean, is I want to sort of take over here, and I want to do the interview, because I'm going to interview, a returning cast member after 12 years. Now, what happened was we did have a person cast as Grandma Josephine, and then for various reasons that person had to relinquish the role. So we contacted you, and you jumped at it. Why did you decide to come back?
Well, I miss it. It's very hard to make, especially when I've retired from my real job, as to say. When you start rehearsing in October and there are shows on in March, and you think, gosh, it's a long time, to not to say to somebody about a month before the show, listen, I'm away on holidays and I won't be there. You have to go for the long haul if you're going to go for it. And it's sort of every year it was, maybe I'll go back next year, maybe I'll go back next year. And, I have to say too as well that a lot of the shows, they're for such younger people, and just to actually have a part as a granny. I think I said on my Facebook status, I don't even have to dry my hair or paint on the wrinkles, just maybe emphasise them a little bit. So it is really good to be back, and to be back with all the old faces again, not old as an age, but old as in for veterans of the society, and just being part of it.
Quite a few of us are old, don't you worry at this point. Because it's interesting, because you and I have done a couple of Brian Friel plays together on the stage. You've done other shows. You've done The Airman, I can't remember the full title of the show.
The Lad from Lahey.
That's the Lad from Lahey. But but what you've done in the past couple of years, by and large, has been a bit more serious. So is it good to get back to something a bit more lighthearted?
Oh, it is. Definitely it is. And again, there's a lot of work within it. And Maria, the director, and Jared, and Emma, the choreographer, that they've put their heart and soul into that. And it is hard work and it is a commitment, but also there's a lot of fun. And especially, I think the last night, from memory, Donal, there's a certain song that is part of the tradition now that I presume is going to be on the last night as well.
There are traditions in the theatre, and I can confirm that this year traditions will be upheld.
Excellent indeed. And going back now to the show, almost sold out. It will be sold out. You were in Sligo on Thursday. I think the Sligo Music Society put it on, and we're getting the same set. The set's coming from Galway, and it looks so impressive.
It is. It's really good, and it was really nice, because what happened was this only became available for amateur productions this year. So Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, there's a company called MTI, which is Music Theatre International, and a lot of the shows that you can do, I mean, you can't just decide we're going to do such and such a show and then do it. And what you've got to do is you look and see what's available for licensing. Then you've got to apply to this agency called Music Theatre International in this case, and you apply for permission to do the show, and they will contact you back and say, yes, you have permission to do the show. These are the dates, these are the conditions, and that'll be X thousand euro, please, for the license. So the first thing you have to do is, and a lot of people ask, why are you fundraising, 8 months before the show is even on? And you're fundraising 8 months before the show is on because you've probably got to lay down at least a couple of hundred and possibly well over €1,000 just to secure a license. And what happened was Charlie came on the market for amateur groups, and a load of companies went, oh, we'd love to do that. So I think there's at least 9 or 10 productions of Charlie going on all over the country over the course of all over the island indeed, because there was a version on in Coleraine the month before last, in January. And what's happened is that there is a company in Galway called Stage Right. John Wright is the man's name that runs it. He's a set designer, and he makes sets. And this is a dream show for someone like him, because you've got to build things that will fit in a sort of a fantastical factory, and then you've got to surround them with big candy floss and candy canes and everything else, and there's all sorts of little things in the set that give him the chance to use his imagination. So we're renting the set, so it gave us the chance. Maria, Noel, Chris Duddy and myself, the four of us, went down to Sligo on Thursday to watch the show, and then afterwards we and two from Limerick Musical Society, who were also doing it at the end of March, were also there. So the director in Sligo, David, brought us and showed us the set, and we got a chance just to have a look. So we got to see the bed that you will pretty much spend Act 1 in.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumours going around about Chris Duddy and me spending 40 years in a bed together.
Yeah, well, you have spent 40 years in a bed together. And yes, I can confirm, ladies and gentlemen, that in the show, for the bulk of Act 1, it features basically Jean and Chris cuddled up in bed side by side. Don't be making any inferences from that now, lads. But indeed, you will have Jean and Chris side by side in bed for most of Act 1, yes.
And another couple as well.
With Dee and Michelle are in the same bed. And I say it's the same bed.
And it's a family show.
It's very much a family show in every sense. And, I'm sure, you must be relishing the fact that you just basically get to cuddle up in a bed while everybody else around you's got to dance and all that.
Exactly. My hips wouldn't stand up to the dancing.
Oh, yeah, well,
that's another reason why I've been away for 12 years. So, and again, the costumes are coming from Liverpool.
The costumes from St Helens in Liverpool, yeah. So you get to see the set. And I have to say, for Thursday night, what surprised me more than anything was how much I enjoyed watching the show. Because when you're in rehearsal, you've got a certain detachment, you've got a certain, you're always thinking, did I do this right? Did I stand in the right place? Is this right? Is that right? Do I need to do this differently? To actually be able to sit back and watch. And I've never done that before. I've never gone to watch a show before. I've gone to see shows after we've done them. Like we're hoping to get to Ballyshannon next week to see Little Shop of Horrors, which is one of my absolutely favourite musicals. And hopefully we'll get down to Ballyshannon to see that. But it's very much when you actually get to sit down and watch the show. I was really enthused when I came out of it. I was really raring to go because I now know from the point of view of an audience member how good this is to watch. And how brilliant it is to watch. No, I'm absolutely looking forward to it now.
Well, indeed, I'm so looking forward to it as well. And tickets, you say, flying out the doors. It's like the ad for Home Stores and More. Once they're gone, they're gone.
They're very much gone. They're very much gone. So, I mean, I would say, look, I mean, if you're going to come, and of course, I would suggest you come. I mean, yeah, get onto the theatre website or call them on 074 91 20 777 and get that organised. Jean, before we go, there is one thing I want to say.
Yes.
As people will know, there's more than one musical stroke drama group in town here. And over the last 2 nights, Friday and Saturday, our friends in the Letterkenny Music and Drama Group did a play by Nina Raine called Consent. And I have to say congratulations to them. I was there last night. It was stunning.
Yeah, I was there.
An amazing play, I have to say now. And I'm not going to single out any of the actors because there was 8 actors on that stage, and every one of them was amazing. And I have to say, I always sit down at the end of every year and do a list of my, the best show I've seen, the best amateur, the best professional. I mean, if I see a better play in Ongrain Theatre this year, amateur or professional, I will be extremely surprised. It was fabulous. And look, to all our friends in LMDG and to Mary Lane in particular who directed, well done, guys. That was stunning.
No, I agree. I was at it on Friday night and it was fabulous. Well, Donal, thank you so much for taking time out tonight after a long day in the Gael's Skull.
It was a long one. It was a good one, though.
A fabulous one. And I'll see you on Wednesday night.
You shall indeed. See you then, Jean.
Thanks a million.
That's the sound of colour.